Welcome back to another installment of the Business Video Marketing Summit. And I got to tell you guys, I'm on overload here. I've had 18 cups of coffee. It's 10:30 in the morning, and I am trying to absorb all the content that has been thrown at us since we started this summit 10 days ago. So if you're tired, if you're overwhelmed, that's awesome. I want to encourage you to keep going. It's like doing one last pull-up, one last push-up, you know what I mean? Tell yourself you can do it. Get your note and your pen and your paper out and start taking notes, because what we have in store today is no less than any of the other stuff that you've seen so far in this summit. Today I'm interviewing a YouTube marketing expert, a social media expert, a branding expert, someone who has built a phenomenal, not only a blog following, but a YouTube following, a social media following, and all of the above. So I'm very excited. Sorry about that shake. I'm very excited to introduce Amy Schmittauer, I was going to say Schmittastic, to the show today. Amy, are you with us?
Yeah, hi Owen, how are you?
I'm excellent. I hope I did the name okay, the last name okay.
No, I was worried you were going to stumble on it, but that is also very typical for people to think Schmittastic is my last name. I'm very sorry to disappoint.
Well, you are Schmittastic, regardless of how the last name is pronounced. And I love that you really embraced your last name. I think a lot of people would say, oh, it's I'm going to change it to Amy Stark or something like that. But you really embraced who you are, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, the story of my last name is actually quite a journey, and I know that sounds funny, but I actually opted for it. My stepdad adopted me when I was younger, so awesome. I really can't be upset about my last name. I just make the best of it, clearly. That's why my Twitter handle is Schmittastic.
I think that's great. I have a stepson myself, and his dad's actually very involved in his life, but he's no less my son. I love him to death. So I think it's great that that homage that you kind of leave to your stepdad. That's super cool.
Definitely.
So for the audience that isn't familiar, with what you do, tell us a little bit about what you're doing and maybe a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I own a video content marketing firm. I work with businesses to be using video, not just on a more regular basis, but with more of a purpose. I think there's definitely a huge misconception of how easy it is to use video these days. That being said, it has to be done well, but that doesn't mean it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think that's sort of where I find my sweet spot in the industry, obviously helping with social media marketing as well, email marketing. I'm also fairly well known for a blog that I have on YouTube called Savvy Sexy Social, where I give small businesses and entrepreneurs tips on using social media. So it's definitely also morphed over time. It's not just social media, but living the marketing lifestyle, which I think everyone should do, but especially those people who are launching their own business and really need to be selling themselves.
Well, yeah, and marketing is a lifestyle, is it not? It's not something that necessarily you do, Monday at 10 o'clock is when I do my marketing, you know what I mean? And marketing is not something that you necessarily 100% give to someone else, your manager. Marketing is something that you do every day. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. For the solopreneur, they think it's something they can schedule at Monday at 10 o'clock. And for ones that might be a little bit bigger and have a small budget, they think they can outsource it to a department and just say, hey, this is great. You know what you're doing. Do it for me. And I think it was just so important for me to convey the importance of having you very present in your marketing strategy. No one's going to know your brand better than you. Yeah. I can't implement for you because I can't know your business as well as I know mine. So really having those people that know what it's like to be in the culture and know the territory, that's what makes marketing so special, because it's storytelling these days. So really outsourcing that or thinking you can just do it for a couple hours a week is sort of ignorant, unfortunately. But yeah. I think once you start to realize that it's about how you handle yourself more than it's about how you manage your time, it starts to feel like less of a chore and more of an exciting thing that can change your business.
That's a great point, because I think we all like talking about ourselves. You go to any event, someone says, well, tell me about what you do, and our soul lights up, and it's like, oh, good, I get to talk about me. And that's really what storytelling is. You're talking about how you served this person and how you served that person, and creating that story for kind of the world to see. So it should be something, I know it's something that I enjoyed to a fault almost, you know what I mean? Yeah, to where it's like, it's hard to put the computer down. It's hard to put Hootsuite away for the evening, because I want to keep going. Do you find like it's like that for you as well? You want to keep doing more, and you just love what you do?
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, and that's what makes it so exciting. I love waking up every day and knowing that like I get to tweet and it's totally like cool because it's me being a part of my marketing lifestyle, but I also enjoy it so much. It's almost like at the end of the day I'm like, did I tweet today? I got to check my Twitter. I don't know. I got to check in with these guys. I got to see what they're doing. I got to see what people are talking about. But it's so natural now to do it with mobile that it's almost like a text message for me.
Yeah.
So I'll look and I'm like, oh, I totally tweeted like crazy today, but it's just such a natural conversation that's happening that's how I know I'm doing it right. And that's what's so cool about it and so much fun.
And any brand can really can make use of Twitter, yes?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's not one of those things it's like, oh, that won't work for me.
No, I've had a really hard time finding a business that Twitter really wouldn't work out. I think it's really easy to sort of like push it off to the side, like, oh, it's just what the kids are doing these days, and that's what they said about Facebook, and now everybody's swarming Facebook, and the kids are kind of like leaving. But no, yeah, I mean, I love Twitter because it is absolutely so easy, and easy relatively speaking, but easy compared to Facebook to be found organically.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important because it's very easy for us to get back into the advertising mindset. Facebook ads work, Twitter sponsorships, they all work, but that's not why we started getting onto social media in the first place. And it's so easy for a brand to just be like, okay, let's just do ads, because they know if they put their money into something like that, then it'll get a result. But is it really getting you the result that social media is meant to get you? And that's building real relationships. I don't know if they 100% match up every time. It doesn't mean it's not effective from a numbers standpoint, but Twitter is really special because you don't have to do any of that. Facebook's making it increasingly difficult not to. But Twitter, you can find anyone talking about anything. I just did a video today about how you can search locally. So if you're a brick and mortar and you're trying to find somebody close by that's talking about something that might be relative to you, it's so easy, and that makes it so much more fun to engage there.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's great input, and I hear a lot that the Twitter is not for me. It's exactly kind of what you're saying, and there's not only an SEO value to it with people retweeting your links and stuff like that, but it's the relationship building that you just don't always get from the advertisement, because advertisement is going to attract a large variety. A competitor, it's going to attract other marketers that think, oh, this guy's advertising on Facebook. He's got a budget. Let me follow him and then prospect him. And who are you really talking to? You did a video last week. Or I'm not sure if it was last week. It was on your blog. I just watched it a little while ago about getting an organic following on Facebook. What was some of the advice that you talked about there?
You know, I think it's really important. People don't realize how easy it actually is to get cross promotion. I think people don't think as much about how they can give away, and what's really important is giving away to not only your audience but people that might have a similar audience. So when you look at opportunities to say, hey, what can I do for you? We're building up our Facebook following a little bit. You seem to have traction in that area, and what could we offer you that you might be able to post something about us on Facebook, or we could offer that audience some value for you? What does that look like? Building those partnerships across brand pages is a really great way to do that. I know that I can post content, and if it's really good, it'll get shared. But I think this week I had a video shared 3 times. That's kind of big for me because a lot of people don't take the time to share. But when you do find those opportunities where it's not just about what you're posting on Facebook, you're actively trying to find out what other brands would like to see, and then you're finding those opportunities to cross-promote, you're much more likely to get in front of an audience that's complementary and would want to check you out as well.
Now, you did a video this week that I loved, and I think I actually shared it 3 times, so I'm not sure if that was
okay, maybe it was
you. You did a video about using Gmail, Hotmail, and free email providers. It is it's something that for me, it's honestly, it's like, oh, and you flip the card over, and it's like, oh, from Vistaprint.com, fantastic, and you kind of toss it out. Talk a little bit about that, because I want the audience to really know that you are a well-rounded expert. Talk a little bit about that.
I think it's so important to identify these really small things that we're not always so conscious of making a huge difference in your business. this kind of started a few weeks ago. I'm working with a client. They hired a designer. The designer happened to hand me his card. We're going to be working together on the project a little bit. And his card said like at hotmail.com, like whatever the email address was. And I was just like, what is this? I could not believe it. And then I started to get emails because I have an open email policy. People that subscribe to my newsletter are always encouraged to write back emails, and they can send me an email at any time and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Helps me because I can come up with content. Helps them because I write them back every time because they took the time to subscribe to my newsletter. It's getting, you know, tougher by the day, but I still try very hard. If I can't reply, it usually becomes a video. And so after I was getting a couple of these things like, do I have to, I think they came to terms with buying the URL, but they just were like, Google Apps cost money now, and I don't really want to have yada 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 abc.com, like whatever your URL is. I don't know, it's a terrible example, but you know what I'm saying. Your vanity
like
URL as an
URL.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially something that might cost a monthly fee. I'm not sure what Google Apps is these days, but since it was free before, I don't think it could possibly be that much. And I'm used to paying, is it $5? That's what I thought it was.
Per user,
$5 per user per month. And you know, I guess I was grandfathered in because I'm not paying for it. But you know, I'm used to paying for products that I benefit from on a daily basis, things like Hootsuite, things like Buffer app, things like FreshBooks. So those things can cost Aweber. Those things can cost anything from $5 to $30 a month. So when I hear somebody say they don't want to pay $5 a month for Google Apps, I'm like, let me tell you something, okay? This is the one thing that you invest on a monthly basis that affects how people see you.
Yeah.
So when somebody sees that your email address is at Gmail, they don't have to know if you would rather check your personal Gmail. My personal Gmail is where every single piece of mail comes. Right. I just have everything going that way. You're going to get a business card with a legitimate email address, amy@savvysexysocial.com, amy@vlogboss.com, because you do not get to perceive me as somebody that's too cheap to pay $5 a month but wants to make your money.
Yeah, absolutely. A great point, and I hope that really sinks in with the audience because it is something that's easy to get stuck into, you know what I mean? Because I just check my Gmail easier, it filters it out for me, That's not the point. The point is the professionalism and the brand, and what is your brand all about? And you've done some tremendous work with your brands. You've got Savvy Sexy Social, you've got VlogBoss, you've got your, and forgive me if I'm misstating this, but you've got your video marketing company as well. How do you manage all these different brands from a segmentation standpoint? How do you keep them separate but continue producing content for them?
So it's kind of crazy. It definitely gets confusing. When I first started working for myself, I needed an outlet. That's where Savvy Sexy Social came from, and that's how those tips came to be, who I was trying to gear my business toward. It was a way for me to build a business, bring in clients, figure out the type of people I wanted to work with. I wasn't ready to file like a real life business, the LLC with the state. I wanted to know exactly what that business was going to be after I got some more experience with the type of clients and the type of work I was doing. So after, having Savvy Sexy Social as that client driver, getting new clients, just working as a freelancer for a couple of years, I launched the video marketing company, which is VlogBoss Studios. And that name was really important to me because I wanted people to know that I want you to come to me for video content expertise. Yeah. I've got that locked down. If I'm going to stand out in the industry of social media marketing, this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make you better for it as well. So Savvy Sexy Social is an amazing client of VlogBoss Studios because there's really no better portfolio item than your own execution of successful video content marketing. And so that's what that has done for me. It still continues to drive clientele, but it is also targeting a little bit different type of businesses. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So it has its own scaled product that I can benefit from my content over there, in addition to a couple leads here and there. VlogBoss Studios, I really focus on my clients and getting the information out of what the fun things that we're doing and the milestones that we're making and the case studies, the success stories. Yeah. And so that ends up being the content strategy for VlogBoss because I'm spending so much time on the content strategy for Savvy Sexy Social. It sort of works for all of them. But I can absolutely understand how it gets confusing because it confuses me every day.
Well, I think that a lot of our audience is kind of running into that, where you're doing, you've got a software development company, but you're also doing IT on the side because it takes maybe it's an outlet, maybe it's the business you started in or whatever the case might be. And what happens is the audience, they're blending all this stuff together, and so in the end, I don't know what your brand is about. You've managed to segment these brands very cleverly, and you do it. I mean, both of these entities have a substantial amount of subscribers and viewers and followers and things like that. And so I think it's very important to look at your model, to follow your model, and to kind of use that as a as a launching point, as something to look at. So let me ask you this: how do you generate your YouTube views? I mean, we talk about YouTube, we talk about views, and we talk about subscribers. How are you getting a ton of views?
Really, really good question, because there's are two wildly different things. I think in the YouTube community we depend so much on subscriber numbers, but that has just been a fluctuation of dependency for a long time. YouTube changes its layout. People don't realize how to get their subscriptions and things in their box. Is the box broken? I can't find my favorite people's videos.
Right.
So subscriber numbers are certainly important, but they really don't mean anything when it comes to views. I think it's really important to see how well your video is being delivered by looking at that view count. I would say that I've made a very conscious effort to do the YouTube model and collaborate as much as I can, and make sure that people outside of my own audience are learning who I am. Yeah. I like to travel a lot. I like to meet up with other creators and say, hey, can we talk about something? Can we bring our audience together and have some sort of collab effort? Maybe I can post something on your channel, you can post something on mine, let's do a little series together, whatever that looks like. I also have had the opportunity to take a vacation because I have such great viewers. So instead of you guys going without content, I picked 3 people to do a video while I was traveling out west, yeah, so that you continue to have content. They're making videos, they're getting excited because they're getting an opportunity to get in front of my audience. They're driving people to my site so that they can show them, hey, this girl featured me on her site, this is so fun. Yeah. So I think the more you offer opportunities to collaborate, the much more likely that you're going to get paid back. YouTube is a very collaborative environment. It's not a competition. And so if you work that in your favor, requesting that of people who are somewhat at your level and are willing to do something that's a fairly equal trade, you'll do fairly well. I think this year has been really interesting because, first of all, I did my first ever music video in December, so that was like, that had some really interesting. For you or for a client? For myself.
Okay.
I did a book review of Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, have done reviews of that book, so I thought, how am I going to stand out? And I was like, well, I'll just sing about it. Yeah, I'm just very good at making up songs. So he was very impressed with that, and I was very blessed to have that tweeted from his account, and so that certainly started to change things. And then in January, I was able to meet up with some close friends of mine on YouTube who have a very substantial following on their channels, so they were kind enough to do some work with me, and my highest viewed video ever is one that I did with a couple of tech guys at CES. I go to Consumer Electronics Show every year because it's such a wonderful time. Lots of people out there in Vegas in January. It's a good way to start your New Year's resolutions off right. So.
I don't get to go because of where I'm at in my life, but I listen to it. I'm reading the blogs about it. I'm watching the videos about it. Yeah. I came home, I told my wife, they have a crock pot that you turn on with your iPhone.
It's all about the smart home, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, we've burnt everything we've ever put in our crock pot, or it never got cooked at all.
How? You know what I mean? How do you mess up the crock pot?
This is our life. I don't have a crock pot thumb, I guess. I just don't know how to do it. But I love what you're talking about, collaboration. And as marketers talking to other people who are doing marketing, it's easy to say, oh, well, I want to collab with Amy on this project. And Daryl Eves yesterday talked a lot about collaboration. Can the local business person, maybe the person with 3 or 4 different locations or offices, can they collaborate? And what might that look like?
You really need to be aware of who these key influencers are. If, like I said with Facebook, if you know of somebody that could possibly be a partner for you and they have a larger following, or not crazy different, but can you offer a similar amount of value to them? It might be in a different way. I think people are confused about, maybe you don't have as many YouTube subscribers, for example. I know somebody that he makes incredible videos once a week, And his subscriber numbers are not tremendous, but he has an incredible blog, and he has insane traffic going to that blog. That's really how he got started on the internet, so the videos are a complement to that. Could he do a collaboration with somebody where that blog is the way that he's able to do something that is equal in value to the other person, so everybody's getting something out of it? Sure. So as the local business, as anyone, if you're looking to gain some traction in a specific venue and you see somebody that would be a perfect opportunity for you to work with, you really need to make it, first of all, very easy, and second of all, a really shining way that they are going to make, you're going to make it worth it for them. If it's going to be hard to make it worth it for them, then you really need to go above and beyond, and they don't have to do anything. It's that simple. You know, I've heard somebody say, like, I know somebody that had no following, but she said, I'm scripting a video. All you have to do is say it, speak it, I'll edit it, I'll upload it, you go ahead and you make it go live, and you don't have to do a single thing. The easier you make it on somebody, the more likely it will happen, but if you can offer the equal value, that's really, really important too.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes it can be just being able to produce a video. You know, if you've got a guy who owns three different offices, I'm thinking specifically about like chiropractic or medical, you know, they got 3 offices, they have no idea how to produce a video. You go to them and say, we want to do a video on chiropractic. Would you post this? You interview them as an expert. That's going to make you look awesome because you know experts, right? And authority is kind of established by knowing other authorities. And then you've offered them this tremendous value. So I think getting creative is really important, and looking at the key influencers. When you say that, you're not talking just about key influencers in social media, although that's there, but key influencers in the industry that the business owner is in, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is kind of an example. I used to work with a company called the Gateway Film Center here in town, and we still talk a lot, and I used to be a part of a video project with them. Somebody that was able to help them gain a little more traction with some video content that they were making was a local drag queen. She's got a huge following in town. It may not be an online following. There are people that want to know where she is every night. She's booked for a long time, so by having her as a part of the effort, we got a few more eyes on the project.
See, that's what we call, we actually call that drag queen marketing.
Yeah.
We have a strategy built around that, so that's great advice.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it really is. Drag queens are where it's at, okay?
There's a huge following, but the idea being you get creative, right?
Yes,
you get creative, and you have to type of, I want to talk a little bit about traffic, okay? Because is all of your traffic coming from YouTube, or how do you kind of keep that traffic from YouTube and your blog and manage all that? Where do you want people to view and that sort of thing?
So watching on YouTube is great. I would say my comment section is extremely busy on YouTube. But the key is getting people to your website, because you need to be able to collect value that is just yours. So by getting people to come to my website to watch the video, that's what I'm promoting most of the time.
Okay.
And the comment section is there if people want to engage, but most importantly, my email list is there. And that way, you sign up for my email list. If YouTube decided to crash and burn one day, I've got you there, and you're not going to miss a future video. We just might be in a different venue. It's really important for you, if you're going to be offering so much free information, you're not sure how you're going to collect monetarily in that value just yet, you've got to collect some other form of value, and it's usually contact information. So having that list of some kind ready to go is really important. So my #1 traffic driver in terms of referral and social sites is YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just, typical. People hang out on the YouTube channel, they keep watching videos, they click the annotations at the end of the video for the calls to action, they sign up for the list, or they just click on the the web address and want to go click around the website, see what else they can find. So that's #1. And Twitter's #2, just because I send a lot of value over there. I probably tweet once every hour for 24 hours. Lots of shared content in addition to my stuff being peppered in.
Now, are you sharing your stuff from the Twitter app directly, and you're posting a bit.ly link, or are you going on YouTube and tweeting it from there? Are you using Hootsuite? What's kind of your working model there? I find that sometimes it can be difficult when you oh, I just did this blog, I want to tweet it out, and it's like, oh, well, what's the link? And it's like, oh, I got to shorten it. I got to go to 5 different places just to post this one tweet from my phone.
So I post my video posts automatically because it's synced with my Twitter account. As soon as the video is live, the YouTube link goes out to Twitter. and Google Plus, of course.
Yeah.
From there, I've also prepared a complimentary blog post because as I'm continuing to promote the video, I'm promoting a link from my website.
Right.
That website, that blog post specifically goes into Buffer. I use Buffer to schedule all of my activity on Twitter. So I send that blog post into Buffer. I write a couple different teasers for you to check out the video. I pepper that out throughout the rest of the day. Buffer shortens everything for me, tracks all my analytics. I don't have to do much.
And what is that, like $10 a month?
I love Buffer. $10 a month. It's worth every cent. Every
cent. So you use
cent.
Buffer. Do you use Hootsuite as well, or does one replace the other?
I like Hootsuite when it comes to tracking replies. It's gotten to a point where I have a lot of replies going on. I try to get to everybody.
Yeah.
When you have different team members, and even if you don't have another team member, I highly recommend making a fake team member, because when you reply to people, then it puts this nice little bar at the top that says, Amy replied to this. So then cool. I can look at my tab and see, like, where did I leave off? It's a lot easier than scrolling through your mentions on the Twitter app and trying to remember, okay, what was the last thing I replied to, and make sure you get to everyone. And so I do like Hootsuite when it comes to listening.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Okay, that's cool, and that's great advice, because I actually struggle with that myself as I'm trying to get, and I'm sure I don't have the kinds of replies that you do, but you still want to reply to everybody, and you want to make sure that everyone's getting value, and you never know where that could turn into.
That's right.
I'm such a conservative guy. It's like, well, I don't want to start a team member if I don't have to start a team member. You know?
Yeah,
and,
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to post unless it's a meaningful post and that sort of thing. So that's actually a great little takeaway, and I'm going to kind of make a note of that. With your blog, you're not posting a transcript. You're kind of posting like a title and like a little summary, like a teaser, right?
Well, it depends on how I'm feeling. But if I did it right, this week has been so tough. So it's been summaries this week. But what I guess the long and short of it is it's a summary. It's not a transcript.
Yeah.
Every video that I post on the blog is with a complimentary piece of copy of me basically re-explaining the video. So if you can't watch the video, I'm still getting SEO value. I'm explaining what I talked about, all the points. And so it's not a transcript. I just don't like the idea of a transcript, because I want it to seem just as easy to consume the content if you read it versus if you watched it. And I think when you try to the transcripts are useful in YouTube transcripts, and that's about it for me. When it comes to the blog post, I want it to be like I wrote the blog post if you can't watch the video. Yeah,
no, that's cool. And the reason I wanted you to kind of talk about that a little bit is because we're hearing a lot about transcripts, and I see a lot of value in that for repurposing. But when I've posted transcripts on my blogs, my clients' blogs, and it seems like a bit much. Although I do know that some people want to consume the text rather than watch the video, and that's something I wanted you to do. You don't have to do it that way. It's kind of what your point is.
Exactly. I think people that really are loyal to you and can't watch the video, they still want to like see what they might have missed, and I don't want to send those people packing just because they can't hit the play button. So as often as I can, I provide a detailed summary, a non-transcript summary in the blog post. So, and then that copy also goes into the description section of the video on YouTube, because you should be using every single character offered to you in that area. YouTube can't watch your content. Google can't watch your content. So every piece of copy that you provide, maybe the transcript is good enough, uploading a text file to the YouTube video and having that transcript in place, but I like to take that detailed summary that I write in the blog post and paste it into the video as well, and that helps with that SEO value.
How many words are we talking about in a YouTube or in a video description box?
I think they give you 1,500 characters.
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot, because I'll end up having a 600-word blog post pasted in there, and I have a lot of existing characters that are defaulted in there, all my social links, stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you have a strategy in terms of keyword saturation for the description box?
I think the most important thing to me when it comes to the keywords tags in YouTube is having my own name and my own channel in there. Most of the time people are worried about what's going to follow up the video, if it's going to be a referral to someone else's content versus yours. And one of the best ways to keep it as your content following up is having your channel name, the actual name as it appears in the URL. In your tags. And so that's definitely one of my biggest things, but some typical keywords in there as well.
When you say channel name in the tags, channel name in the description, in the title and the description as well, or just the tags?
The tags is where they're really looking for in terms of where to send you
Related
next.
videos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great advice. That's great advice. We talked with, I think it was with Gary Oginski, who does video marketing for attorneys. Great interview. And he talked about how the problem with YouTube viewing is all the related videos that pop up. And real estate agents, lawyers, they're dealing with their direct competitors right here. So tagging that is maybe a way that you could preempt against some of that. Because you certainly want to be viewed on YouTube as well as your blog, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about vlogging, because I've heard the term and then it went away and then it comes back and stuff like that. What is vlogging? And tell me about your process for it.
Okay. Well, I feel like vlogging is like that new dirty word. It took a while to get blogging to get on everybody to get on the wagon with the word blogging. Now everyone uses it like, you know, it's the most old word in the dictionary. Vlogging has been kind of different because trying to tell people, I mean, people still continue to pronounce my business Vlog Boss Studios, and I'm like, it's one word. There is no hyphen. Like, just say it. It's not a bad word.
Yeah.
So I think it'll eventually catch on. I don't know if it went away, but that's just because of the territory that I've been in.
Yeah.
I really think that the difference between vlogging and any other kind of video is really having your personality shine through and really just giving that behind the scenes feel of this is really me. And so that's what I feel like ends up being the biggest difference. And that's what's made Savvy Sexy Social so different, I feel like, in terms of marketing people on YouTube talking to a camera. There's one side of that and there's another side of that. My side of it is I've been in the vlogger world for much longer than I've been in the marketing world, but I want to talk about these things. I want to talk about marketing, the marketing lifestyle, business, social media. I want to talk about that stuff. So I'm a vlogger, I'm a YouTuber, talking about this stuff, and that's what ends up making the content a little bit more relatable. I have people that watch my channel that don't have businesses, don't even have YouTube channels, have no brand whatsoever that they care about elevating, and just because I might be an enjoyable experience for them to watch, they're learning something, maybe they'll need it later in life. I get a lot of emails like that and YouTube comments. People just watch my channel because they have fun. And so I think because there's so much personality shining through in my content, it's less of a chore to learn about marketing and learn about boosting your business. And that's where the vlogger in me stands out. So my process for that, in terms of set, is very much like video production, but how you treat the content, how you talk to a camera makes it come through as vlogging. I haven't seen the lens of a camera in a long time. I'm not looking at a lens of a camera. I'm looking at a person. And when you look at a person and you're talking to them, how you would talk to them in real life, that's a video blog to me.
You know, that's cool because we talked a little bit about that as well in terms of how to talk to the camera. I tell my clients, pretend the camera is your target audience, right? That's your customer avatar. That is somebody that you're trying to influence right then and there. Some other advice that we have is look through the camera, look above the camera and stuff like that, but it makes a big difference when you're actually personifying the listener. And I saw that tremendously in a recent video you did where you're in your closet literally putting on jewelry, and you look at the camera and you go, how are you? But how are you really? And it was so personal and it was just so human. But that, I think, is the real message of vlogging, is that behind the scenes documentary, this is who I am. And do you encourage your clients to vlog? Or are you saying more, you guys need to just be doing professional videos that we're going to rank and convert and that sort of thing?
No, I think the reason why I'm different from any other video production studio they're going to call is because I want them to think of it as a vlog. You might be talking about professional things, you might be putting on a professional persona, but the more comfortable that you can get, the better. There's actually a real estate client that I've worked with where they started to get so comfortable on camera that they were saying, like they were really like, Like seriously, like it was almost like, okay, maybe you should be a tiny bit more positive, because they were really getting real. They were getting so real about real estate. Like really, do you really think that going to the selling agent is going to be a better deal? They're looking out for the seller. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just like, yeah. And I'm like, I never want to own a house. Like, I don't really want to. But when they were speaking to me in this video, I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, why do you think you shouldn't have somebody on your own team in that situation? So I love that. I want people to get motivated by that. I've had clients who I never even asked them to vlog. We were working on some other projects, and they would like start taking their phone out and like start talking to it just because they were inspired by something that I do in my spare time.
That's
and
awesome.
It's fun to watch. It's really fun.
Yeah, it is fun to watch, and I love the thing about getting real. I have a client, and I give this message to kind of everybody is that every time I say, okay, action, I get this, welcome to my, and Derek, I'm talking to you, okay? He's a good friend, welcome to my dojo, and, and it's like, dude, that is not who you are. They're going to come in, and they're going to see this totally lighthearted, funny, goofy kind of guy. He makes up his own words all the time. That's what I want to see on camera. Right. But you're showing me this other like super professional, my grandfather type of guy. What's the boundary between like being professional and being real? Is there one?
I think I get this question a lot because people are like, oh man, I cannot be myself on the internet, and it's like, okay, fine. Maybe I agree with you a little bit. Like, I curse like a sailor, but I don't like to curse on my channel. So there are guidelines that you can put for yourself, just like you would have social media guidelines. What are some things that you will do? What are some things you won't do? Okay, well, maybe some territory we probably don't want to get into is religion and politics. There's something we won't talk about. So when you have those guidelines for yourself, then you follow them. You know what you're comfortable doing on camera, but that doesn't mean you can't act like yourself. It's not the same thing. You can still be funny and interesting and goofy, and people might think you're a little crazy. My first videos on YouTube make me look like a loon, but it's okay because there are people that get comfortable with that, and you get to be even more of yourself as time goes on, and more quirkiness comes out, less quirkiness comes out. You have to be comfortable with that. If that's who you are, you shouldn't be hiding from it in the first place. And you want it to be consistent when people are like, oh man, I really connected with you on YouTube. I really hope you're like that in real life, because it's going to be awkward if you're not, you know? Yeah,
and we talked a little bit about with Jason Tebow about parasocial relationships, where you see somebody on YouTube and they're this person to you. So when you meet them, you're ready to meet that person, right? And this is kind of like what happens in Hollywood, is that you see Brad Pitt in all these movies, and he's this romantic, debonair, friendly guy. And I've actually never met the guy. I'm just kind of using a Hollywood example. So maybe he is exactly that guy. But you meet him, and you're like, Brad, I loved you in The Postman. And he's like, dude, who are you? You've created this relationship, and it's important that as you're creating relationships and engaging with your target audience on YouTube, that you are kind of that person when they meet you, because otherwise it's like you lied to them.
Yeah, it's not cool. Now, that being said, it is kind of tough to be a YouTuber because it's almost the celebrity. I'm not talking about myself at all. I'm talking about like actual like millions of subscribers YouTubers, because I go to these conferences and they end up having lines and lines of these kids that just can't wait to meet them, get a picture, get a signature, get their t-shirt, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we make videos in our bedroom, so you can only be yourself so much when you're exposed to that many like people just gushing on you. So that's not the situation here, but like you are yourself if you're doing a good job with video. That's the bottom line. It's just a matter of how you handle yourself in real life from there that's really going to make the difference with people, of whether or not you did a good job of conveying who you are and building that relationship.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of be that starlet, that YouTube starlet, when people have seen your boxer shorts in the background. You know what I mean? And it might take away from some of the glamour when your dog's taking a leak on your carpet in the background. But I think that has to do with framing more than anything else. But I would definitely consider you like a YouTube celebrity as well. Sure, there's people with bigger, bigger channels. A lot more people with smaller channels too, though. And that's one thing that I like about your content, is that you do hit me as a kind of that celebrity factor. But you're not just entertaining me, you're educating me. And that, I mean, I'm an education junkie. I'm not like, you know, Captain Ebook Collector or anything, but I like to learn things and then utilize things. And that's what your content is all about. How do you create great content? Do you have a content schedule? Do you sit, you know, in a private room, you know, the month of December and figure out what you're going to do in 2014? Like, what's your process like?
I think you have to have those key dates on your calendar. What some important moments are for me. Some things that stand out are vlog every day in April, vlog every day in August. That's a big YouTube trend, and I definitely like to get my audience involved in that so they can get comfortable with making videos, and we do it together. So that sort of stands out. And then of course, if you have any products that are going to be released at any point, having those on your calendar so you know how to lead up to that sale. But what's most important, I feel like, is having a good structure. I didn't have a good structure until the beginning of last year, and what that means is you can always say like, oh, I'm going to vlog once a week, it'll be every Monday, guys, come to my channel every Monday, but you don't really go anywhere from there in your brain. You're just like, I'll film over the weekend, I'll come up with something, we'll publish on Monday, and then you're sitting there on the weekend and you're like, what am I going to talk about? And I think it goes further. You have to have the schedule and you have to have the structure. And I looked at myself after CES last year and I was like, okay, I'm ready to get really serious about this. My channel has great potential, but I'm not consistent enough. What can I do to change that? And I looked at the name of my blog and I was like, that's it, Savvy Sexy Social. It's 3 videos a week. They each cover a different arena of the marketing lifestyle, and I'm never going to forget that structure in my mind, whether it's public or not. I labeled it Savvy Tuesday, Sexy Wednesday, Social Thursday. What does that mean to you? I don't know. I mean, it's just helping me kind of limit it down in my brain. I can tell you what it means all the time, but it doesn't mean I'm always sticking within it, you know? But it's easy to come up with content ideas if you're like, that's going to be a Sexy Wednesday episode. I know exactly where I'll put that, schedule it in for the next one. It's so much easier to think of it that way. I think of Savvy Tuesday as great, Savvy Tuesday is great business tips. Sexy Wednesday is great ways to make it more fun to talk about you online. There's lots of people who have very unsexy businesses. What can you be doing to make it more fun to engage people online? And then Social Thursday is usually around some sort of social media platform advice. So for that limits my thinking. I can come up with my editorial calendar a week in advance. I don't do any further than that because if I can stay in line with whatever newsworthy things are happening, then I'd like to do that. Most of the time it's fairly evergreen, but having that structure, having that schedule, it's helped me not miss an episode except for one family emergency last year. So for a year and 3 months, I've not missed an episode. That's
incredible. Now, with that, you have the annotations and kind of the frame at the end, which I love. A lot of people are doing this as a professional way to do it. So they click here to subscribe, click to see the previous episode. On Wednesday, if they click previous, do they go to Tuesday's episode or to last Wednesday's?
They go to Tuesday.
Okay, so it's the last consecutive episode. So even though it's 3 different kind of points, it's still one channel, one show.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, very cool. And I'm curious about that because on structure, I think is super important. What is your editorial calendar? Are you using something that you created that in an Excel document that works for you? Or is there like some hidden document that I don't know about that everybody uses, you know?
No, it's as simple as Evernote, to be completely honest with you. So I have a folder on Evernote where I keep screenshots of emails that I received from people asking me certain questions. I have another area where I'll keep my own ideas, and I just go into there. I have them in different little categories: savvy, sexy, and social. And which ones do I like the most this week, and I run with it. It has a lot to do with whatever I talked about last week. Try not to harp on the same things all the time. It really has been seeming like I talked about Facebook so much in the last month, so I've been trying to lay off that a little bit. But really being able to look at everything, all the ideas laid out, and see what would be a good direction to go, see if we can tie them in anyway and make it sort of a theme, another theme on top of all these other themes. I like to be able to do that a lot of times using questions from people who send me emails. It's the most genius content strategy I've ever had, is just asking people what's wrong. Because they will tell you, and they're like, I don't understand this, and I'm like, oh, great, okay, well, first of all, I already talked about that, or second of all, I will talk about that. Because if you're asking this, there are people asking this. So that's really been the saving grace for me, especially when I have to entertain clients the hours of the week that I'm not making videos. So having those questions has been key.
Very, very bold, and I think sometimes we run into this issue as business owners where, like, I don't want to ask my clients because then I don't seem like the expert, but you really do. I'm going to do it today, as a matter of fact. I'm going to send an email to my list right now and say, what do you guys want to know about? And I'm going to schedule a day next week and just do 25, 30 videos.
Yeah, and hey, just if you don't want to even have to think about it, it's like my third autoresponder. You get a second autoresponder from me with my most popular content. There might be a third one with something else, and the fourth one just says, what are you struggling with?
That's awesome.
And I don't know how I did it, because it was sort of like I should just do this, and I typed it up, and I haven't even revised it in I think a year. People feel like I sent that email manually. For whatever reason, they think I'm actually reaching out to them personally, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So they feel even more compelled to tell me, and it just makes life so much easier. I'm consistently getting emails that my autoresponder is prompting for people to send me to let me know, you just joined my list, you're kind of new here, why don't you tell me what you're really struggling with? Why are you really here?
Yeah.
And then go.
And that's the value of an autoresponder. We used the two things there that I really want to kind of punctuate. And the one was don't harp on the same things. We tried to do a theme in in February, just last month, that was like all video email marketing, right? We're talking about email, we're talking about video and how they come together. In the beginning of the month, tons of likes, retweets, shares, da-da-da-da. By about week 2, nothing. I would even love to see if I got any unfollows, because people were just like, okay, I'm over this. And so we had to kind of back up and say, okay, that didn't work. So we need to kind of break it up a little bit. So not harping on the same things is super key, because what you're doing is you're revealing yourself, and you're being selfish with your content versus like asking the audience what they want to see and responding to what's going on in your business. And the other thing you said was about video, or about the autoresponders. Email marketing. Video is, yes, there's video marketing, but it's part of a funnel, yes?
Yes.
So it's about capturing that attention with video and then filtering them into a like. It's like you said in the beginning. You focus on making video with a purpose. So what do some of your funnels look like? What does an average funnel look like? And how many autoresponders do you set up immediately? Do you set up 20 weeks right off the bat, or is it 5 and then they get a newsletter?
That's exactly what I said before. They get 3 to 4 autoresponders over a period of 2 weeks, I believe, and from there, it's just weekly updates from me. So that's most of it. It's very, very important to me that I get people to move over from YouTube to the newsletter, because YouTube viewers will just stay there. That's a beautiful thing, and it's a not so beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because they're the most loyal audience you'll find anywhere on the internet, period. I don't care what anybody else says. The downside to that is they don't want to leave YouTube, and it's going to be harder for me to convert them later. So for me to, it might be the 200th video that they watch of mine, and they finally say, all right, I'm going to sign up for this email thing she's been talking about at the end of every single episode, just because, you know what, I support her. I don't want to miss an episode. If something happens and I do miss one, I know I'm going to get it with this email. So it's really important for me to get those people to move over, especially with the way YouTube has been changing so much. We don't want to leave our value up to somebody we're renting space from. It's just not going to work. So by having them on the list, then I can kind of move from there. There's always a little plug in the sidebar of each of my newsletters for a micro consulting program that's more geared toward a small business or entrepreneur who has maybe a smaller budget for marketing, needs some direction, but still may want to implement on its own. So they're getting my newsletters weekly, but they're also seeing that pitch in the sidebar, and then every once in a while there'll be a special on that consulting program, and that's where I'm able to make that pitch as well. I'm never promoting my Pick My Brain program on social media. It's absolutely inappropriate for my audience. It's inappropriate for my personality, and I have to have that email list active in order for me to make any money.
Okay, so the money is in the list.
Absolutely.
And we've heard that before, and it's key because I've been hired just most recently by a client, and we're not interested in email marketing. We're interested in social media marketing, and it's like,
that's awesome, but those same people want to go to social media and be like, hey, you should buy stuff from us. And it's just about explaining we're with you. We want people to buy from you. I'm not here to tell you that you need to do all this for free. I'm here to tell you every platform has a purpose, and until you respect that, no one's going to follow you. No one's going to give a crap about what you have to say.
Yeah, and there's a selflessness that has to kind of go into it. I got an email today from a guy. I asked him a question. He did some photography, and it was awesome. And I said, hey, what did you use on the bodies? Did you use oil or water? He says, trade secrets. And I said, seriously? Like, we're still in that mindset of I'm not going to tell you. Like, that's not the world that we live in today. Marketing is got to be an open door. You don't want to give away the ingredients in your sauce necessarily, but you want to share content with people, right? Letting people into that back door, and that's what vlogging is that behind-the-scenes look.
Yeah, I don't think there's really not a single piece of information I've ever withheld from my audience, except for maybe my exact editing process. I've had a couple of asks for a tutorial of how I edit my videos. I'm much more likely to save that one for the paying customer, because I'm willing to give you a few tips here and there. I'll tell you what program to use. I'll tell you how you should adjust your audio. I'll tell you how you should frame your camera. But I can also offer that as a package deal. To somebody that's very serious about making their video, they'll pay for a 7-video series on the exact process of how I make my video, which I've done before, and that's where I have to collect a little bit more value. Other than that, I don't keep any trade secrets, and that's not even a secret because it's just there. It's for sale.
So you have that for sale?
Yes. It may not be on the site at this very moment. I'm sort of, actually, no, it's not, because I'm having my editor go through and kind of finalize those videos a little bit, make them a little bit nicer. Yeah. Because I just did a run through the first time, and I'm just trying to make it more of a nice little package.
It's like a screencast kind of situation?
For the editing part, yes, but since it was a so many video series, there were different pieces. Like the first one was how do I film? So it was very much me talking to the camera again. Yeah. What does the camera look like? How do I have this? There's a video about personality. So there were only a couple like optimization and editing that were important for screen captures. But yeah, that was part of it.
Are you a Mac user?
I am not. I'm on a Mac right now. I do have a MacBook Air because I do love my little MacBook Air, but I am a PC. I'm very, very close to changing my ways, but I've been a PC for a long time.
I have those days. I have days where I'm like today was a day where like, you know what, dude, I'm going Mac. I'm going back to Mac because I actually got moved away from PC. Yeah. The moment that I found out what I could build my own PC for and how awesome it could be. But I love how Mac has everything there. I can shoot it. I can edit it in iMovie, which is not my favorite editor, but it's easy.
Totally. iMovie is a great option for a lot of people.
And it's available on the iPad, too. You know, even though I wouldn't use it on iPhone, but on the iPad it's great. And even though I'm a PC guy, I do have an iPad because it is the best tablet. I'm afraid to venture into the Droid tablets right now, but I'm looking forward to getting a Galaxy this weekend. Sorry, Apple, you know, I don't think they need my business, but
you're abandoning them.
Yeah, I know, right? You're live on. But let me ask you this: I know we're running out of time, and I want to give you a chance to kind of let the audience follow you and get a hold of you. I do want to ask you though, if you'll share with us that link when it's ready. I do want to put it in the show notes if it's available, because I think people would love that. Yeah. What about your editing process? Are you using Adobe? And let me preface this. If you haven't, you've got to watch some of her videos because they're like jump cuts. It's very natural. It's very raw, and all the content matters. But it's a simple edit. It's not, you know, this kind of thing, you know. So are you using Adobe? Are you using iMovie? What's kind of your basic process there?
I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro because, like I said, I'm a PC, but I also use my MacBook Air. Actually, I started renting office space, so my PC is actually at the office. I wanted to have a program that would work across platform, across OSs, so that I would be able to edit at home if I didn't feel like going to work to edit and stuff like that. So I really like Adobe Premiere Pro. I love paying every month for their cloud because I get all of their products.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a really good high-end editor. I didn't just jump there. It took me some time to want to get there. I started with like the very first program I used was Windows Movie Maker. That was when I started discovering video. That was many years ago. That was like the first thing I ever did on the internet was just make fun videos with my friends with videos from Windows Movie Maker. From there I moved to Corel Video Studio.
Yeah, sure.
And they're good friends of mine that I met at Playlist Live, which is a YouTuber conference, and I started to use their program. And then from there, once that, I started to hit a ceiling with them for editing. I was like, you know what, I got to just dive into Adobe. And I had a couple of my friends help me get started, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. And it's not that my edits are difficult. I could certainly still be using Corel. It was more of a speed issue. It was more of a playback issue. A lot of times you'll end up in a place with a program that won't play back in time, and my audio lining up was very important because I overlay my audio so it's a continuous sound happening. You hardly ever hear me breathe. I really like Adobe. What's that?
Do you use Pluralize to sync the audio?
I don't do anything except for export in Adobe.
Oh, okay. All right. Pluralize is a great little system where we got 3 different mics coming in, and then it's a plugin that just syncs it all up.
That would make total sense. I'm only using 1 mic, so maybe that's why I haven't had to worry about that.
Yeah, totally. Are you still doing all of your editing, or are you outsourcing a lot of that?
Savvy Sexy Social, it's very important to me that I do all the editing for that. It's my baby. I have to keep the vlogger in the space, and that's what makes me a vlogger. I see a lot of people getting on YouTube that are just outsourcing their editing, and I just feel like there's so much a part of the creativity that can be there when you edit, and I don't want to lose that. I know that I could have smarter, much more talented people doing it for me, but I'm not in a place to do that yet. It's still a very personal place for me to be, even though it's a business venue. So I do all the editing, but I do outsource a lot of client editing because I spent so much time on this blog. So
yeah, and that's okay too, because you have to leverage your time. I mean, you have to get away. The chef is going to hire cooks to work underneath him. You know what I mean? And that's a sign of a successful business. But I love that you're remaining so personal with Savvy Sexy Social. It actually helps me a lot too, because I want to do some of this stuff as well, but I feel like I'm out of time, and at the same time, I have an editor that I work with pretty consistently, and he's very, very good, but I'm also like, you need to see what Owen can do. You know what I mean? To kind of like raise the bar, and I spent a lot of time in college doing the editing and stuff like that. Did you go to school for video production?
Nope.
See, and I didn't think so, and that's why I wanted to bring that up there, because you can be, here you are, a YouTube, celebrity, if you will, a business celebrity in the field. This was a hobby, like a pastime for you that you turned into a business, and every person watching this can be a video marketing person. You don't have to have, the $250,000 education.
No, absolutely not. And what's really funny is I could totally see myself wanting to engage in an educational program like that, except for that everything is available online. I can pay to learn anything I want to know online. So I really don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to get accepted anywhere. I don't have to worry about that. I can go to Linda and probably learn a lot in terms of After Effects and even more stuff that I'm not even doing in Premiere Pro. I don't have to go anywhere. I can learn anything I want. I just have to pay a little bit of money and know how to use the internet.
And probably the shorter learning curve too, because you don't have to wait for the whole class to catch up. Man, I was so bummed. I discovered Linda like my last semester in school, and I was like, what the? But, and then I found, you put in tutorial. You put an After Effects tutorial in YouTube or Vimeo, and you find tons of stuff. So Linda has a great format and stuff, and I like Linda. I support Linda, but there's also a lot of free stuff available online as well. Amy, I really appreciate you taking the time today. I know that you got tons to do. You got tons of brands to manage, so thank you for spending time with our audience today. How do we learn more about you? How do we follow you? And how do we get on that newsletter?
Hey, it would be great if you could join me on Savvy Sexy Social. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, but more importantly, if you want to get every video, you'll get a once-a-week newsletter from me just by going to SavvySexySocial.com, and the opt-in form's there on the sidebar. You'll get my free ultimate Twitter guide also for joining on with us, and feel free to email me anytime with questions, whether you're on my list or not. Amy@SavvySexySocial.com. I'd love to chat with you.
That is so cool, and I really hope that my viewers will take some time to check out that Twitter guide. Twitter is so important. I feel like it's a stumbling block for a lot of business owners wanting to take that next level. You're understanding Facebook, you're understanding Pinterest, but Twitter is just that thing you're kind of posting to when you post on Facebook, or posting to when you post on Pinterest. It really is its own entity, so check out the free Twitter guide. Get on the newsletter. The videos are fantastic. You will learn a ton. Amy, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for tuning in to another installment of the Business Video Marketing Summit. We're almost done. We're almost done, and I'm sure you haven't even watched all the videos yet. There's a ton of content, but they're here. They're going to be available for you. Pretty soon we're going to get them on iTunes so you can stream the audio right to your headset and listen anytime. Please come back here often. Leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you. And join us in the Facebook and the LinkedIn groups. Thanks so much for spending the time with us. We'll talk to you soon. Awkwardly moves eyeballs to the stop button. Take care.